points apiece in Heat 7. We've got Tony Rickardsson, the skipper, coming out with Steve Masters on grids 2 and 4. Now, the news on the Coventry side of the pits is that Lee Richardson, after having failed to finish in his opening race in Heat 3, has withdrawn from the rest of the meeting. That collarbone injury obviously has not healed sufficiently. He was in some discomfort, and his place in Heat 7 is being taken by Ryan Fisher. So the pairing for Coventry, Stuart Robson in the yellow helmet, Ryan Fisher in the green helmet. Ryan Fisher is on grid 1, Tony Rickardsson on 2, Stuart Robson on 3, and on grid 4, Steve Masters. So they line up in Heat 7, scores all level, 18 points apiece, and away goes Tony Rickardsson superbly from that gate 2 position, and Steve Masters is following him around for another good ride from this guest reserve number 6 this evening, and he's leading the rider in green, Ryan Fisher, and the rider in yellow, Stuart Robson. So although those two Coventry Bees have got Steve Masters in their sights, they are trailing. Poole are holding a 5-1 at this stage. This would be really good news, and after 2 laps, Tony Rickardsson way out in front. Steve Masters looking comfortable in second place, but the rider in green, Ryan Fisher, is a very tenacious young American rider, and always likely to pull something out of the hat. But it doesn't look as if he's going to do it this time, because Steve Masters is really turning on the great display. This would be another paid win, having won Heat 2. He's going to come around the final bend and going to take the checkered flag. Tony Rickardsson comfortably in front, but that all-important second place going to Steve Masters, giving the Pirates a very valuable 5-1 and a lead after 7 races of 4 points. The scoreline 23 points to 19. The match delicately poised, but the Pirates holding that 4-point advantage as we go into race number 8. The rider replacement for Poole sees David Ruud in the red helmet in place of Bjarne Pedersen, and he's paired with Glen Cunningham coming out for his 4th race. For the Coventry Bees, it's the pairing of Billy Janniro and Ryan Fisher, and such is the potential of these Coventry Bees riders that they could easily go in for a and that's quite a nasty looking tumble from David Ruud coming out of the pit bend there. He was facing the 2 young Americans, Ryan Fisher and Billy Janniro. I was thinking that he would have to be certainly sharp from the gate in order to make some impression, but he reared up just by the pits gate there, as you saw, taking a very nasty crash, and he's receiving attention. We've already heard from the referee that he was the primary cause of the stoppage, and we've got quite a bit of repair to do to the safety fence there. I think we're going to have a delay of some minutes while David, hopefully not too seriously hurt, receives attention and the track is made safe again. Well, we're moving on now to race number 9, the outcome of Heat 8. After that pretty spectacular demolition job on the safety fence by David Ruud was his subsequent exclusion from the restart, which saw the Coventry pairing of Billy Janniro and Ryan Fisher capitalise fully on the Pirates' misfortunes by taking a 5-1 with Glen Cunningham trailing in 3rd place. That puts the scoreline now after 8 heats, 24 to Poole and 24 to the Coventry Bees. So it's all level, and more changes in Heat 9, and the stage is set for a nail-biting finale to this Elite League B fixture. Lukas DRUML takes his programme ride in Heat 9, and he's joined by Steve Masters, the reserve replacement of David Ruud. Opposition comes from Andreas JONSSON and Jason BUNYAN. Off they go, and that's a superb start from Lukas DRUML, who takes his Coventry heat leader rival Andreas JONSSON around the outside on the first bend to lead him comfortably, and Steve Masters continuing to have a really good meeting. The Trelawney rider, guest reserve, riding number 6 for the Pirates, tucked in comfortably in 3rd place. So at this stage then, Pirates look set for a 4-2 win. Lukas DRUML out in front halfway through the race. Andreas JONSSON certainly breathing down his neck, but Lukas looking comfortable and right up there in 3rd place. This impressive reserve for Poole this evening, and certainly doing justice to his inclusion in the side. Steve Masters, Jason BUNYAN once again trailing at the back there as his his third scheduled ride, all of them pointless. You wonder whether Colin Pratt will replace him in Heat 12. We'll have to wait and see, because things are getting pretty tight. But this time the Pirates take a 4-2 heat win and take the lead by 28 points to 26. Coming into line for Heat 10, 2 points between them, with the Pirates holding a slender advantage by 28 points to 26, and a couple of changes this time. This is the moment when Neil Middleditch can capitalise, if that's the word, on the absence of Bjarne Pedersen, because he's bringing in Lukas DRUML, having had 3 replacement rides with riders below the stated average for Bjarne Pedersen. He can bring Lukas DRUML in this time, and he pairs up with Leigh ADAMS, a potentially 5-1 looking pairing, but nothing is that predictable in any match between the Pirates and the Bees. On the Coventry side, they have to replace Lee Richardson, who's withdrawn from the meeting, with their number 7 Ryan Fisher. Comes in to pair up with Stuart Robson, who's in the yellow helmet, and goes from grid 1. And that's a great start from Lukas DRUML from grid 2, gets to that first corner ahead and allows his partner Leigh ADAMS to come right around from grid 4 and that potential for a 5-1 looks as if it's going to be realised at an absolutely vital stage of the meeting for the Poole Pirates. Currently holding a 5-1 advantage, a maximum heat here. Halfway through the race, Leigh ADAMS comfortably in front, Lukas DRUML equally comfortably in second place, leaving the 2 Bees trailing, with number 7 Ryan Fisher in the green helmet still bobbing around there in third place, and it's Stuart Robson trailing right at the back. Both of these Coventry riders look as if they're down on speed marginally from the form they were showing earlier in the season, which is maybe just as well for the depleted Pirates team here this evening, as Leigh ADAMS takes the checkered flag for the third time this evening in this vital Elite League match. Lukas DRUML joins him in second place. It's a 5-1 and some daylight appearing. I'm sure Colin Pratt will be very quickly in with the tack sub, but at this stage in the proceedings, after 10 races, it's 33 to the Pirates, 27 to the Bees. So we're on to Heat 11, and it's time for Tony Rickardsson's third race. He's got a win and a second place so far. And Tony Rickardsson is joined by, he's in on the inside side, he's in the red helmet. He's joined by Steve Masters in the blue helmet, and Steve Masters certainly having a good meeting here this evening, but he's got his work cut out this time, because we've got the pairing of Steve Johnsson and Billy Janniro out on grids 2 and 4, and certainly they were too good for Lukas DRUML and David Ruud in Heat 5 when they formed a maximum. I don't think they'll be setting their sights on maximum this time, but they may well be looking to shut out Steve Masters for a 3-3 and maybe conceding the race to Tony Rickardsson. Let's see what happens here as they line up for race 11. Away they go, and it's Tony Rickardsson from the inside, but indeed the Bees have shot into the second and third. In fact, it's Steve Johnsson who takes the lead against Tony Rickardsson there. Tony Rickardsson did do his usual outside of the first bend, and indeed he recovers the situation immediately there as they enter the second lap, but we expected Tony Rickardsson go from the gate, go wide, get the slingshot effect from the pits gate. In fact, he didn't do it that time. Steve Johnsson stuck in there, but if he thought that was going to be the way of things, he had second thoughts, because Tony Rickardsson showed that that minor lapse there was not going to last much longer than a lap of Heat 11, and Tony Rickardsson comfortably in the lead, but Bees packing in the minor order with fourth place Steve Masters has his first failure of the evening in Pirates colours, and a drawn race, 3 to each team, moves the scoreline along to 36 to Poole and 30 to Coventry. Well, we speculated as soon as the Bees went 6 behind with that 5-1 Heat 10 that Colin Pratt would be looking tactically at forthcoming races. He resisted the temptation in Heat 11, thinking that he could split the race, but he's moved with a vengeance in Heat 12, where he's made a double tactical change. The pairing for Coventry then is Steve Johnsson and Andreas JONSSON. They take the place of Lee Richardson and Jason Bunyan respectively. Jason Bunyan's completed his races. Lee Richardson's withdrawn from the meeting. So a chance then to pull back a 5-1, but Poole will pin their hopes on Lukas DRUML in the red helmet, who's got the inside gate. And in blue, his partner this time will be Glen Cunningham. Somewhat of a stern challenge for Glen. But if the Pirates can get a share of the spoils this time from Lukas DRUML, the Wimborne Road faithful will be very, very happy. He makes a good gate, in fact. He's joined by Glen Cunningham, who gets an equally good gate, although he's shut out along the back straight. He's out on the wide outside. It's Lukas DRUML in the lead. Glen Cunningham in second place. What a really superb race that is, with Steve Johnston in third place and Andreas JONSSON at the back. Well, who would have... This is such a turn up here. The Pirates on to a 5-1. Most of them here at Wimborne Road would have happily settled for a 3-3. Halfway through the race now. Glen Cunningham is certainly turning on for his best race of the evening. He's got 3 points from his opening 4 races, and with a lap to go, Lukas DRUML way out in front, but this could be a league points winning ride from the number 7 Glen Cunningham with into the last bend. I'm sure this will really bring the Wimborne Road faithful to their feet, and they are in ecstasy here at Wimborne Road. That moves the Pirates into a 10-point lead with just 3 heats remaining against their arch rivals from Coventry. And Glen Cunningham joins Steve Masters as trump cards at the tail end of this depleted and much changed Pirate side. But these 2 Premier League boys are the heroes, and just listen to the reception that these 2 riders are receiving. That's Lukas DRUML and Glen Cunningham, the heroes for Poole, as the scoreline moves on after 12 races. Poole 41, Coventry 31. So somewhat unusually for recent matches here at Wimborne Road, the Pirates have a comfort margin of 10 points as we see the closing heats before us, with Heat 13, the Battle of the Giants, featuring Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson, and the opposition riders this time 2 on the trot in both cases. That's Steve Johnston, number 1, and in the green helmet, and he's on the inside starting position, and in the yellow helmet on a grid 3, Andreas JONSSON. So they've just suffered a surprise 5-1 reversal of the 2 Bees from Lukas DRUML and Pirates hero at number 7 Glen Cunningham. Let's see what they do against Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson here in Heat 13 as the tapes go up, and Leigh ADAMS gets a wonderful gate from grid 2, clamps right down on Steve Johnston and looks for his partner Tony Rickardsson, and bang on schedule. He's there to join Leigh ADAMS at the front for potentially match-winning 5-1. This would move the Pirates into a 14-point advantage. Almost unthinkable in the early stages when the lead was swapping around regularly backwards and forwards between the 2 teams. But as the Pirates' big guns feature regularly towards the end of the meeting, and the Coventry Bees, hampered by that withdrawal of Lee Richardson, usually were between 12 and 15 points around Wimborne Road. And of course, not forgetting the absence of Billy Hamill, those handicaps on the Coventry side proving far too much against the high-flying, table-topping Poole Pirates, who would actually move 11 points ahead of their Midland rivals in the league table with 3 matches in hand, if they indeed scoop the league points here this evening, which it looks very much is what they've done, because they now lead with 2 heats remaining by 46 points to 32. On to race 14, the penultimate heat. Pirates got the league points in the bag, and in this heat it's good to see David Ruud back out again after that horrific crash in Heat 8, where he demolished the safety fence and indeed his own bike. And I think they've picked up the pieces, and it's good to see him back in the red helmet here. He comes out on grid 3, and he's joined by the rider in blue, Steve Masters, who's assembled 6 points from his 5 outings so far, including that very questionable Heat 1 race exclusion. Colin Pratt makes tactical substitute and brings in Billy Janniro to replace Stuart Robson, and he teams up with his compatriot American rider Ryan Fisher. So it's the two young Americans to do battle with the Pirates in Heat 14, and once again the American riders for the Bees are fighting out in the front here, and going up the back straight there, the rider in yellow, Ryan Fisher, took a very brave dive round the outside of the two Pirates, Steve Masters and David Ruud, and it looks as if they're going to restore a degree of respectability to the scoreline for the Bees. It's going to go back to 10 points, although Steve Masters is trying his hardest in third place there, but out in front in the green helmet, Billy Janniro, Ryan Fisher in second, Steve Masters third, David Ruud fourth. It looks as if it's going to go 47-37 with the nominated riders heat to go. Yellow flags out now, a lap to go, and as they did earlier in Heat 8, it's a 5-1 maximum advantage and a nice spot of team riding to the gutsy American duo for the Coventry Bees. So the Pirates may be looking to their top two to restore a 14-point advantage, because obviously the bonus point in the return match at Coventry will be all important at the Brandon Stadium in a few weeks' time. But it's 5-1 to the Bees, scoreline 47-37 in favour of the Pirates. Heat 15, and it's the big guns for Poole with Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson, and Leigh ADAMS in the red, Tony Rickardsson on the gate 4 in the blue helmet. For Coventry, they bring in Billy Janniro in the green helmet, goes from a grid 1, and he's joined by Andreas JONSSON in yellow and black on grid 3. So can the Pirates get back to a 14-point advantage? The return Elite League B fixture up at Brandon is on August the 11th, so they'll be mindful of the need to keep the pressure on the Bees at the top of the table and look for at least a bonus point when they go there, if not another superb away win, which we saw them do to redress the balance and restore their pride a few weeks ago, the Pirates. But some little hold up to the start of Heat 15 with an exclusion to Billy Janniro in the green helmet. Time's up, and unfortunately he's out of the race.
From the referee's box, the rider in green is excluded.
So we'll start that one all again then.
Restarts, of course, heat number 15. The final still continues as we...
Okay. So on to Heat 15. We've already had one false attempt to start this race with original choice for Coventry, Billy Janniro in the green helmet, having snapped his goggles and been excluded under the 2-minute rule in trying to exchange them. So in his place on grid 1 is Ryan Fisher. He's joined by Andreas JONSSON on grid 3. A big 2 for Poole, Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson. Superb gate by Leigh ADAMS, and Tony Rickardsson comes through to join him for a 5-1 here in this nominated race. Tony Rickardsson looking for his partner, sees him around the outside, lets him pass a right round, and they leave the two Coventry Bees trailing in their wake. This is important for Poole because having been pegged back to a 10-point advantage in Heat 14, they'll be looking to take the maximum number of points to Brandon on August the 11th when the return fixture of this match takes place. 14 points is a very good margin to take there, but with every point vital, whether or not the Pirates can pull off an away win or not. They certainly had a superb win in the return Elite League A fixture just a couple of weeks ago, thanks to that winning ride by Leigh ADAMS. And here we've got Leigh ADAMS once again taking the checkered flag with Tony Rickardsson. We've seen that on a number of occasions. Unfortunately for them this evening, the pressure wasn't on them quite so great in terms of it wasn't a last heat decider, and the Pirates ending up comfortable winners in this Elite League fixture by 52 points to 38 against their title challenging Midland rivals, the Coventry Bees. So a superb league victory for the Poole Pirates, and Tony Rickardsson and Leigh ADAMS once again receiving the applause of this packed house here at Wimborne Road this evening.
Well, before we leave the racing tonight, we have to have a look in here in the pits and see the state of this machine. David, this is your machine. It looks as though it's come off a lot worse than you did. Are you okay, first of all?
Yeah, I feel okay. Just hit some muscles and feel a little bit shaky, but I think I'm okay now.
How hard is it to get up after an accident like we saw and get on the bike again? It must have a psychological effect.
Yeah, it has really, but it's really good to do it because you sit on a bike and it makes you feel better.
Okay. Del, you had the job of taking the engine out, and this really is what Speedway teamwork is all about. Del, what people wouldn't realise is the work that goes on to get the engine out, and you were telling me earlier on it was the Poole engine in this bike, so it had to come out so he could race again.
So you take the engine out and put it into the spare bike, so it took two engines out and one back in.
And how long did that take, you were telling me?
About 4 minutes.
And I think quite a few people had a hand as well.
Yeah, in the end it was just between the two of us. We did it.
Okay, and obviously it's going to be a big bill now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
£1,000.
Yeah.
And a lot of work.
Well, there's an awful lot more work to put it back together again, but I'm sure it will be back together again soon, and I'm glad to see that, David, you're all in one piece.
Yeah, that's the main thing, that you don't hurt. And the bike, you can always buy a new bike, but you can't buy a new body.
Absolutely. Well done. Thanks for your contribution again.
Thank you.
Well, good to see David all in one piece, and I have to say it's probably unlikely that we'll see that bike around here again. But nonetheless, a great win for the Pirates tonight, a victory of some 14 points and a nice cushion to take with them to Brandon for the bonus points. Well, tonight, of course, it's difficult to gauge how these two sides have gone against each other. They both look a little bit pale. In their normal guise, of course, they'd be racing at full strength. But tonight, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So we'll have to wait and see. And if these two teams indeed do end up in the playoffs, I'm sure they will look very different to that you've seen this evening. Well, that sums up the situation here in 2003, but now it's time to step back in time as we take another look at one of our special Pirate Video features.